2016 Republican presidential candidate, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, great to have you. Look, I do not want to spend a lot of time on a lot of the sleaze that I think is now occupied way too much airtime, but I can't ignore it. So I want to ask you this. I understand things have gotten personal. Wives have been brought up. Trump's wife was put in a super PAC ad. Your wife was, mentioned in Twitter. This horrible, disgusting National Enquirer piece has come out. Is it time for a ceasefire on all sides?
Well, Sean, let's be clear. Only one side has been firing. I have never said a negative word about Donald's wife or anyone in his family, and nor would I. Melania is a lovely woman. She appears to be a wonderful mother. Wives and kids should be off limits. But
I didn't say it was you. I'm not saying it's you. I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying isn't this bad?
Sean, but hold on a second, Sean, of course it is. The Facebook ad that was run was wrong. But I don't know the person who ran it. I have no connection to him. We're completely disconnected. It's not, quote, my super PAC. It's a totally separate group that I don't know. And what Donald did in response, because, listen, there are a lot of people that don't like Donald. They're attacking him. I can't control what 300 million people do. But Donald responded by directly going after my wife, Heidi, by threatening my wife, by attacking her, and he did it repeatedly by insulting her. And then he and his henchmen planted a garbage story in the National Enquirer that is just filled with lies. It's totally false. And Sean, I think the American people are with the attacks and the personal slime and the sleaze. I'm not going to respond in kind. I'm not going to engage in it. Who cares? I think what the American people want is they want a president focused on solving the real problems of this country, bringing back jobs, bringing jobs back to America, raising wages, turning around our economy, keeping America safe from radical Islamic terrorism. That's my focus, not the silliness and constant attacks from Donald Trump's Twitter.
All right, let me move on.
So can we actually talk about, for example, the terror attack that happened in Brussels last week? It was horrific, and it is an example of how we face radical Islamic terrorism.
I think it's very important we talk about it.
And we have a commander-in-chief who is utterly unwilling to defend this country. Instead, he simply repeats politically correct talking points because he'd rather lecture the American people on Islamophobia than utter the words radical Islamic terrorism. We need a commander-in-chief who understands the nature of the threat and who is prepared to do everything needed to defeat it. That's what I'll do as president.
Let me ask this. Let me look at our president, for example. We had him meeting with the murderous dictator, Raul Castro, a murdering dictator, and he's doing the wave, and then he goes to Argentina, and he's doing the tango. We'll put that up for people to watch both these things, the wave and the tango, in light of the Brussels and what happened there. And then he says we must not stigmatize Muslim Americans, and he called for more refugees to come into the country, even though I have a long list of national intelligence officials, including our FBI director, assistant FBI director, Obama's own envoy to defeat ISIS, our national director of intelligence, our Homeland Security chairman, all saying that ISIS and other terror groups will infiltrate the refugee population. He wants to bring in more. Isn't that putting American lives at risk? Isn't that at the end of the day gambling with the lives of Americans?
Of course it is. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's plan to bring tens of thousands of Syrian Muslim refugees to America is lunacy. It makes no sense whatsoever. ISIS has told us they intend to infiltrate those refugees, to send jihadists here to murder us. They did that in Paris, and they participated in the Paris terror attacks. The head of the FBI has told Congress that they cannot vet these refugees to make sure they're not ISIS terrorists. And yet Obama and Hillary and the Democratic Party are so politically correct that they insist on bringing them in anyway, even though they know they're going to be bringing jihadists. That doesn't make any sense. And I got to tell you, Sean, this is the sort of issue we ought to be debating in the presidential race, and we ought to be debating, Donald Trump and I should be debating directly one-on-one. You know what? I'd be very happy to have a debate with Donald Trump on your show. We could do 2 hours on your show. I invited him to do it on Bill O'Reilly. We can do it on you. Both you and Bill have been very, very friendly with Donald Trump. He ought to get a fair moderator. But Donald is unwilling to debate the substance.
I've also been fair to you, Senator. Let's be fair here.
Because he doesn't I agree. But I'm pointing out, I'm willing to show up anywhere. Donald is terrified to show up anywhere. You know, tomorrow night, we've got 2 town halls and CNN back to back. We're in the same place. And yet Donald refuses to show up on stage with me because he cannot defend his policies. I think the people of Wisconsin deserve to know what solutions each of us have for bringing jobs back to America, for raising wages, what solutions each of us have for defeating radical Islamic terrorism and keeping this country safe. And the reason Donald doesn't want to talk about those is because he doesn't have solutions. These are serious times, and we need a president who is up to the task and knows how to turn things around.
Well, let me ask this question, because I think there's a lot of people like me that are out here watching this process. Mitt Romney wants a brokered convention or contested convention. John Boehner says, yeah, I think we could nominate Paul Ryan in this case. We've had 2 RNC honchos that have mentioned it, one from North Dakota and another person. And others have said the same thing. I'm told Scott Walker in a meeting in New York last week actually said that he wanted Paul Ryan to come in at the last minute and usurp the will of the people and disenfranchise voters. That would mean leapfrogging clearly over you or Donald Trump, or both of you even. If that happens, isn't that stealing? Isn't that totally usurping the will of the people? Isn't that something that you find offensive? I find that offensive.
Sean, of course it would be, but it's not going to happen. The Republican nominee is going to be one of 2 people. It will either be me or Donald Trump. We are the only 2 who can win 1,237 delegates, either prior to the convention, and we have a clear path to winning 1,237 delegates prior to the convention, or if we go into the convention and nobody's gotten 1,237 delegates, then Donald Trump and I will both go in with a ton of delegates, and the delegates will decide. And under the rules, there will be only 2 names on the ballot, Donald Trump's and mine. And I'll tell you, if we get to a convention and nobody has 1,237, I think we will be in a very, very strong position to earn the votes of the delegates who were elected by the people to win a majority. And that's what it takes to become the Republican nominee, to win a majority. And we're going to win a majority, I believe, beat Donald Trump. And then we're going to go on and beat Hillary Clinton. And that's one of the real differences, is that Donald loses to Hillary by double digits. It's a blowout if he's the nominee. I beat Hillary Clinton. I'll tell you, there was just a few days ago a new poll that came out, showed me not only beating Hillary Clinton, but showed me beating Hillary Clinton among young people. You know, the last 2 elections, Barack Obama won young people 70-30. Well, right with young people, because they're tired of the failures of this administration, the failures of this agenda, and they want someone who fights for jobs and economic opportunity in the future so that they can get jobs and have a better opportunity, and also someone who will protect their rights and protect their safety and security.
One of the things, as somebody who wants to see Hillary defeated, because I would view it as a 3rd term of Obama, based on her principles. By the way, if she's not wearing an orange jumpsuit or indicted by that time, is if you look at social media, and I'm sure you're on the road, you probably don't have the time that you normally would to read a lot of what's going on. It's like the Cruz people hate the Trump people. The Trump people hate the Cruz people. And as somebody is just observing the intensity of all of this right now, and I know passions are running high and there's a lot at stake, and especially if wives are brought into it, now it's personal. And I guess my question is, are you confident at the end of this process, one of you, you're right, one of you 2 are going to should be the nominee if the establishment doesn't try and steal it. So I'm assuming it's going to be one of you 2. Are you confident at the end of the day that if you win, you're going to get Trump supporters, that if he wins, he's going to get Cruz supporters? Are you confident of that?
Listen, I am confident that when we win the nomination, we will continue to bring the party together, that we will continue to unite initially the 65% of Republicans that recognize that nominating Donald Trump essentially forfeits the general election to Hillary. But then when we win through the democratic process, through winning at the ballot box, through winning either getting 1,237 delegates or at a convention earning 1,237 delegates that have been elected by the people, I am confident that the overwhelming majority of the Trump supporters will come back and join us, and we will stand united. I would note that many of those supporters have been supporting us at different times as well. And my focus is on facing this country, and these are issues that unite us. My priorities are jobs, freedom, and security. Every one of those is a powerful, unifying issue. And I think one of the ways that you help bring people together is you have never heard me in the entire course of this campaign attack Donald Trump personally, attack his family, attack his character. I keep the focus on issues and substance, and there's a reason for that, because it makes it, A, it's the right thing to do, but B, it makes it much, much easier to unify the party afterwards, bring us together. And we have got to come together and defeat Hillary Clinton in November, because we've got to turn this country around. It really is now or never. Another 4 or 8 more years of these failed policies, and I fear we've reached the point of no return. We've got to get back out of this debt. We've got to get jobs back to America. We've got to restore our Constitution and not lose the Supreme Court. And we must defeat radical Islamic terrorism and destroy ISIS. Those are the issues in this election, and those are issues that unify Americans.
I will agree with you wholeheartedly. This country is at a tipping point. We better fix it, or else we're going to lose it. Senator,
Absolutely.
Good to see you. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.